My name is Don Shaw, and I've been a Granby resident for 50 years and a member of the Camera Club. The first one we're going to cover is DismalBrook Wildlife Preserve, and that was donated by former Granby resident Jamie Gamble. That's up off of Loomis Street, and it's 210 acres. It opened in 2020, and we have 3.5 miles. And as you can see, there's all the trails are marked, and you can get those downloaded from the Land Trust website. I really don't think you can get lost on any land trust properties. Just follow the signs. But you'll go through some very scenic things. On DismalBrook, there's some notable things. There's Kramer Pond, which is a haven for wildlife. Then there's a vernal pool, which in the spring is just a hotbed of frog activity, if you will, that just noisy as all get out. And then there's fields and other trails to walk for birders and just enjoy nature and flowers, wildflowers. Here's a picture of one of the trails. This is a lush scene on what is really called the service road, but it's part of the pathway that takes you up through DismalBrook to Kramer Pond, and that's an easy walk for most folks, which the road ultimately leads to a Glacier Cabin, which has been restored, and the Land Trust, it's not open to the public, but the porch is. Okay, you can enjoy the porch, but the Land Trust may have some events there eventually, but it's a beautiful cabin that's been restored. One is in the summer, and one is obviously right after a fresh snowfall. The beauty of this is you sit on the deck, you're overlooking Kramer Pond, and these hikers took a little respite to refresh themselves, and I would say if you want to bring some coffee and things like that up there on your hike, it's a good place to stop, because from there it forks off into 2 other trails. These are photos of the North Marsh at DismalBrook. It's a summer shot with all the lily pad looking north, and then there's a fall shot. And then you can get creative and take pictures of clouds reflecting off the water. So we have a lot of creative artists in the Camera Club who like to do that. This was a shot as the sun was just about coming up one cold morning recently of Kramer Pond, and just frozen over. So not a lot of wildlife activity. And over in the top right is the Beaver Lodge, and that's encased in ice right now. So they're not, unless they're skating, you're not going to see them. And then, of course, when it snows, if we ever get some snow, these are some snowshoers who are enjoying the trails one winter. So that's some of the winter views you get. Then I want to point out, to get across DismalBrook, there's some nice fine bridges, and we can thank Lowell Kahn for that. He's an engineer and a bridge builder, and he's a board member of the Granby Land Trust, and he basically designed and engineered and oversaw these. One is a footbridge on the left that goes across DismalBrook, and then the other one on the right is along that path. It's called the service road, but that can take a very heavy dump truck, because sometimes we need to get stuff up to the lodge, or up to the cabin. Also along that way, you're going to pass Day Cemetery, which is one of the oldest cemeteries in Granby, and it dates back into the 1700s. The oldest gravestone up there is for Elijah Truman, the gravestone says he died in 1795. So there's a few gravestones there. There's also a marker up there that explains how they deciphered some of these gravestones, because the weather wears them away, but they have technology today that can do that, and it describes the cemetery. Also, there's a beautiful dam that was restored, and this lovely picture shows the water going over the spillway when Kramer Pond is absolutely filled after heavy rains. And you can see a nice video that someone took of it coming over, and it flows down. This flows down into South Marsh. Some summer shots of Kramer Pond. There's some Adirondack chairs and benches around, so if you want to sit and watch the wildlife or just enjoy the day up there, plenty of opportunities to do that. I would suggest, if you're really looking for wildlife, to get there early in the morning, because after a lot of people get on the trails, the wildlife kind of retreats back into the woods or farther out in the pond. And then in the fall, you're going to get some spectacular colors. This is Kramer Pond in the height of the fall season a couple of years ago. So if we have a good foliage, it's going to be pretty spectacular to sit there and observe that all through the property and many of the other land trust properties.